It has a price tag of $600 million, and its successful completion is an essential part of the administration's strategy for Iraq. The first part of this mammoth project is to be completed was a base for the security guards. It was delivered to the embassy this spring by the prime contractor, First Kuwaiti, with the assurance that it meets and exceeds contract requirements. My understanding is that KBR was hired by the State Department to run the guard base and prepare meals for the guards. As a result, KBR entered the facility after it was turned over to the embassy to see how the equipment was operating. Mr. Demming, I want to ask you about the problems KBR found in the construction of the guard base when you tested the facility. I understand you were part of a KBR team that was involved with the process of starting up the dining facility in the guard camp after the First Kuwaiti finished assembling it. Is that right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
On May 25th, the embassy sent a cable back to Washington to the Overseas Business Operations Office, or OBO, that describes some of the problems you encountered with the process. I'd like to make this cable part of the record today, and without objection, that'll be the order. Paragraph 3 of the embassy cable says that on May 14th, KBR was in the process of initiating the dining facility when the wires began to melt. Is that right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Paragraph 4 of the cable states that some of the appliances were not working properly and there was a burning smell. It also says that the staff received electrical shocks. In your opinion, was this a serious safety issue, and why?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it was a serious safety issue. I'll explain why, as layman as I possibly can. The grounding issues and the personnel injury, as far as coming in contact with any of the metal equipment, such as being commercial type cooking equipment and such in the facility, as well as the type of facility it is. They are trailers or modular units, and they are steel or metal of construction.
Okay. At that point, the cable says you had shut off all the equipment and could not serve any meals. Paragraph 7 of the embassy cable states, the initial assessment by the KBR electricians was that the gauge of the electrical wiring is too small for the electrical load required, and that most, if not all, of the wiring will need to be replaced. It then says a follow-on inspection by KBR identified additional electrical issues that required corrective action. Can you tell us more about the problems you found?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the electrical cable, the equipment that this cable was feeding, we call them circuits, and they're protected by overcurrent devices. The system does not work properly if it's not designed properly. We did not have the design drawings or plans at that time, so we were merely there to assist in starting this facility up so we can serve the first meal on the 15th of May. Mm-hmm. During that time, these issues arose, and we did have personnel that were getting shocked or electrocuted mildly at the facility. We did shut the power off to investigate and assist the contractor overseas building office to find these issues and try to remedy them.
Well, the cable mentions problems with the grounding, electrical feed, split wiring, wiring not contained in junction boxes. Paragraph 11 of the embassy cable states that on May 24, 10 days after the meltdown, OBO said the wiring had been corrected. You came back on May 25th the next day, but you still found continuing concerns with the wiring according to the cable. How can it be that OBO thought it had fixed the problems when it really hadn't?
Mr. Chairman, we don't monitor what that entity does out there on that camp. We are directed by our client, at that time would be the U.S. Army, to perform these tasks, and only under direction do we actually act.
Well, the wiring failed once. First Kuwaiti fixed it, and OBO checked it, but there were still problems. And if what you are telling us is right, something appears to be seriously wrong with the management and oversight of this project. This doesn't mean that the rest of the embassy project will be plagued by similar problems, but it obviously raises a major red flag The State Department said the guard base was fine, that it met and exceeded requirements, but it turned out to be a fiasco. The $600 million question is whether we are going to discover the same kinds of problems when the embassy is turned over to the State Department this fall. I want to recognize Mr. Shays for 5 minutes.